Today I will not only attempt to resurrect this A3000 board, which is a Rev 9, but also I will try to resurrect my A3000, which has an Amiga board inside, which is currently not working, giving me a green screen, and it doesn't seem to be a memory problem because I switched out all the memory chips and stuff. And right now this is my A3000, which houses on top of the A3000 board a mister. So if I switch this on, it looks like the 3000 comes to life, but in reality it's a mister. So I will show you that. We will take out the board of this case. We will try to fix this machine or this board, and that has quite a few problems. And my first thing would be to try and clean it. And then you can see there's chips missing, like the CPU and the FPU, and I also noticed there's a crystal missing. And yeah, as you can see, all the custom chips are not present. We have some battery damage. Yeah, no idea if I can make this work. So let's start by cleaning this board, then take out the A3000 of my A3000 case here, the board, and let me show you the mister and how it works. And yeah, then I will try to resurrect this board, which will not be an easy attempt, I think, because so much stuff is missing. I actually, yeah, I will show you in a minute. So before we do anything else, let's do a little closer board inspection and see what damage this board has. So let's start here in the corner. This is where the chip RAM is housed, and you will notice that these sockets look okay. These sockets look strange, and that is because these are not the correct sockets. This is just, I assume someone had the wider sockets and just cut them in half and yeah, put them in here. So that doesn't look good. There are still 4 soldered in chips for the chip RAM, and it should be, I think it should be 4 soldered in. So someone tried to switch this out. So I assume that board had a memory issue, and I don't know what the issue is. This is a little crooked, but that doesn't scare me too much. That region here looks good, or reasonably good. Yeah, that is where the battery damage hit. You can see that very clearly, so I'm not sure what to do here. I think the socket is broken because there's a cable tie around it. That is my method of doing this, and someone else had the same idea. Nice. Someone, I think, switched out the socket because that doesn't look stock, and that socket because that doesn't look stock. And here's the battery damage. I'm not sure if this is already clean enough. Seems to be battery damage up here. This looks, is it green? It's the slightest tint of green, but it's not much. So that could be okay. Going up here. Yeah, this socket is broken here. And it doesn't look too good in this region here. This looks really crusty. So I have to clean that up and see what's happening here. Moving over here. I think these are the stock sockets. Not sure if something is missing at U800. I have to look that up. These are not populated by default. The ROMs, this socket seems to be switched out. Yeah, the crystal is missing at U111 right here. So this is actually currently set to 25 megahertz. So this was a 25 megahertz board. The A3000 came in two flavors from stock, which is 16 megahertz or 25 megahertz, and this is an 030 25 megahertz all the way down the board. I have a power supply thingy I will show you in a minute. This is where the fast RAM goes. There's no fast RAM in here. Oh, I just noticed these are all missing. What is this? Okay, so the coprocessor is missing. The processor is missing. Yeah, so we have a missing crystal, 25 point something megahertz for the PAL region. This is a PAL machine, by the way. We have a 030 missing, we have the coprocessor missing, and we have stuff, I think there's stuff here missing. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure. This is unpopulated by default, if I'm not completely mistaken, or it could be that every fourth socket there's a zip RAM in there. Yeah, so let me show you what I have. So the A3000 doesn't start without this daughter board, which I took out of my non-working A3000, which is the Amiga board. And I recapped that. Not sure if it was necessary, but I just did. These nice blue caps here. Pretty much the same that were in there before. It looks really good and is in working condition. I got a few sockets, which is always good. I got some zip RAM, which was hard to come by, but I managed to. 4 pieces to populate the fast RAM, at least with 1 meg. I have a few spare chips, which is Diagram, Super Denise, and some CIAs. These are the ones that were originally my 3000. I have others in there now. Not sure if they work. There's another 3000 which I took from an A500 Plus. I have this spare lighting kit, so that connects here, which is normally in the front, which is a remake from Poland, and you can also solder your Buddha LED cable here, and then yeah, and it's these are the original LEDs from the A3000 are white, and they can change the color, and these here are just, so you can see if you look closely, these are actually 2 squarish LEDs soldered side by side to get the effect. I have this coprocessor which goes here, which is normally socketed. I have a brand new old stock 6830 FE25C. Let me explain. This is the main processor which goes right here. And I thought these would be hard to come by, but I found some on AliExpress. Not sure if it's genuine, but the reviews say, yes, it is. It actually works. And if you take a closer look at the one that is normally on that board here, it's a B revision. So the MC is for Motorola, 68030 is the processor type, FE is the variant, and that should match the one you're putting in here. 25 is the megahertz, and the C is a revision. So there's a B and a C revision, which should be 100% compatible. And I hope that is actually the case, because then I could save this board and I would have at least the processors. The crystal, however, is a different story, because I am completely unable to find one. I have no idea what to do. Maybe I will take the one from my Amiga board and, at least for testing, put it in here and wait until some comes up, so I have the parts. And I'm still not sure what that is. I have to look that up, what's going in here. Haven't worked on an A3000 board. The fast slot looks completely okay and perfectly in order. Yeah, there's some cleaning to do. There's some components to put on all the custom chips I will take from my Amiga board for testing. And my main goal is to get this board going. So if it works, I will put it in my A3000, because I want the real thing, so to say, and I will sell my Amiga board. which might to some seem like a stupid idea, but that's how I roll. I have this power adapter which plugs in here because this is an unusual power socket, and that connects to a standard PC power supply, modern PC power supply. Yeah, so that is pretty much the first view of the board. And what I'm going to do now is I will clean the board as good as I can, especially in this region up here. I will then try to put on the missing components, which will be interesting. Yeah, and then we will go and take the 3000 over there and try to fix that and take the board out, and I will show you the mister in there. Before I do anything else, I want to clean the pads on the processor and the coprocessor, because that will show me if I actually have a chance to solder it on here, because these are very, very small traces, and if these are pulled, that's a problem, and that will be very hard to fix. It's not impossible, but it's reasonably hard. They look good from what I can see now. So these components seem to have been taken off with a hot air gun, so that is okay. No damage to the surrounding stuff, so that's okay too. I'm not sure about this cap here, because hot air and this cap won't match too well, so I might also recap the board completely. Yeah, but for now I will go here, put on some fresh flux. There's flux residue, but I will put some fresh flux on here. I will try to get all the solder off. Almost hesitant to use solder wick on these pads, because I think they are very easily to rip or pull, but I don't see another way to do this. Yeah, so using this tiny wick would be an endless task, I think. This will work better, and I can already see that the pads are, at least on this places here, very good. Don't want to press too hard to the pads. I don't want to damage them. Yeah, that first row looks much better already. You can clearly see the pads now, which is good. It gives me a little hope that I can actually solder that chip on there. It looks very crusty if you look from the outside. So let me continue my mission here. I think I will put the iron to 400 because it will make it much easier to clean off all the solder. Okay, so this is how this looks now. Let me clean this up and we take a look. So this is the final product here, which looks good, considered it looked like this before or worse. The thing I dread the most is cleaning this up because these are really thin pads, so not sure. And I have to remove these 4 pins here. Maybe I will do this first. Check these pins right here, because someone just cut off the crystal and left the pins in there. And there's a botch down here. Not sure what that is about. And that was easy. Okay, so we got these little thingies out of there. Nice. That is what it looks like now. Let me clean this up and we will take another look. Yeah, so there was a lot of shit going on around that thing. And this is a finished product which looks pretty good. I think none of the pads are ripped. So this is good preparation. Now I have to open up these holes here. And then we should be good to take a peek at this side of the board and clean this out. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. And I actually do have 3 types of manual solder suckers, even the one with a silicone tip, which almost never works for me, and the cheapest one, the blue one here, works best for me. So let's just for giggles try this one, which is also a finger muscle trainer. I'm still waiting on a replacement gun for my Hecko-like desoldering station. So let's try WIC again, maybe. That hole will stay closed until I get my desoldering gun back. 3 out of 4, not bad, not bad. Okay. So here's another botch. Not sure what that is. So I'm pretty sure that I will redo all the work that has been done to this board. Like this socket here, which is a 2-parter, and this socket here. Well, that looks actually reasonably okay, but I will of course redo all the solder joints. Looks good otherwise. I'm not sure about the traces below. Not sure about that trace here, this repair. If anybody has an idea what that could be, let me know. Goes from this R120 to, I think, what is this? R699. Should there be a connection? I don't know. I will check. Looks like there's some kind of repair or replacement. And then we have all these sockets up here. These RAM sockets. Yeah, these all have to come out. And that socket has to come out. That one is broken. Don't have a replacement for that yet. Just first clean the board on this side with some alcohol. Then I go over to this side. So I did scrub the lower half of the part of the board, this quarter here. That looks good. The legs on that chip, on the CPU, are a little bent, so I'm not sure. This is a very, very fiddly task, and I have reasonably steady but somehow shaky hands. Not sure if I can pull this off, but we'll see. At least I can really solder to the pads because there's room here, and the feet are visible, so I don't have to use a hot air station, because that would be almost impossible, because, well, the legs are bent and I'm not sure I can put them back 100% in position, even though there's new old stock. It is what it is. I can show you. If you look here, they are bent there. If I take them out, you can see that's not exactly how it should be. So putting these back in position is the first task, and then putting it on there the second. But I will actually solder this, and I have a very small tip for the iron for that, and I hope that will go well. Yeah, let me clean the second quarter of this, so that this half of the board is done, and then I can go on and take a look at the damage on the other side. So that side of the board is cleaned, shiny and sparkly. So I did go and investigate a little, and made a list of stuff that is missing from this board. I have kickstart spares, I have a Paula spare, I have the Super Denise spare. I don't have a Fat Agnes spare, and I think my Fat Agnes from the A3000 board is the reason that it doesn't work, so that might be marginal. But there's an adapter for the A500 Plus Fat Agnes, and I have 2 of these, and I will try to get my hands on one of these adapters and put one of these in here, and maybe even in my other Amiga 3000. I don't have a spare Amber, I don't have a spare Gary, I don't have a spare RAM controller, I don't have a spare Buster, and I don't have a spare DMAC. But I do have my FPU, my CPU, and I have spare CIAs, so that's good. I'm still missing the oscillator crystal here, and I need 3 resistor packs, because there's the one right here at, I think this is 800, no, it's 802, RP802. And when I moved the board around, I saw that right here also 2 resistor packs are missing, and that is 800 and 803. And these are, the 800 is a 3.3K, the RP803 is a 220/330, and the RP802 is also a 220/330 ohm. Not sure which one. These sockets seem to be empty, and these are normally DRAMs, 250K by 4 of 414256 DRAM chips, and you don't need these. Not sure if this was chip RAM or is an alternative chip RAM, I have no idea. So that is pretty much what I'm missing. I would also have some zip RAMs for the fast RAM if needed. And yeah, my next step is to desolder all the dead sockets, or the bad sockets I want to remove. These sockets on the Kickstart ROMs seem to be stock, so there are 2 different sockets, but seems that this is stock because there has no work been done on the backside. It seems, let's check again. And yeah, this looks completely stock. I don't think anybody did rework on this one. Yeah, by the way, the bottom of this board looks to be in perfect condition. There's no corrosion, nothing. That gives me hope that I can fix this board. So let me desolder this socket, the amber socket, which is broken, and these 2 sockets. And I think also a few of these components over here, because I cleaned the board here and I found that there is actually corrosion going on here. I think whoever did this used vinegar to stop it, but there's still the green stuff, and I want to be completely sure that I got it all. Also up here are some these components, and I will at least check for continuity and work with, I think, a bit more vinegar to stop the corrosion if there's any left. Yeah, so that is pretty much the plan, and I will solder on the CPU. I have to wait for the FPU socket because I don't have one. So I did put plenty of flux on there, and I also went and tried to get the legs straight, and this is the result. I used my tweezers to carefully bend them back into position. It's not perfect, but I hope that it is enough. And the orientation is like this. Here's a dot, there's a 1, and now I have to place it spot on these connections. It has to be very, very straight, and I have to see that all the 4 sides are actually touching the correct connections on the board. So when I was trying to solder the CPU, I had an idea, and it was about the crystal which was missing here, which is now in here because I had one. That is on this A500 board, and every A500 has this crystal because that is the crystal that is responsible for the PAL or NTSC signal. So I just desoldered it. Then I went through my spare parts box just to grab one of my 8375 Agnes chips, because I'm planning to use an adapter to use this one in A3000, and I will get to that maybe in the next video. And I will emphasize this. I was looking for this crystal up and down. I have at least invested 2 hours of research. And then I went into my spare parts thing, and what is there? Exactly the crystal. So yeah, I desoldered that from an A500 Plus board that was at least very hard to resurrect, and I didn't bother, so I sold it. And I now have a spare. Nice. And I also have this Agnes. I do indeed have 2 of these, because I had 2 A500 Plus boards that were beyond repair, I think. So let's recap what's missing now. So this board, this A500 board, is now officially my donor board. Had a black screen and wanted to save it somehow, but just didn't until now. Maybe I will sometime, because I have a crystal and it's just missing a few resistor packs here and there. Yeah. So let's recap for a minute what's missing from this board. I'm still soldering the CPU on here. That is one tough ass job to do. I now have 2 irons. I have one with a very pointy tip here, and I have my standard iron with a very flat tip, which is a bit angled here. And it turns out that the angled tip is better for soldering that kind of stuff, but it's bridging all over the place. This thing is so fiddly. I did spend an hour yesterday, and I have 2 sides now. Yeah, it's pretty tough. So I also ordered this socket here for the coprocessor and this socket here for the Ember. Cost me around 10 euros combined with shipping and all in. So that's okay. I paid, I think, 12 for the CPU. I paid 20 for the FPU. Yeah, so crystal was free, haha. Except for the time. I had to order a PCB to replace the Agnes here. And this Agnes will be replaced, I think, I'm not sure yet, but I think I will replace it with this board that actually allows me to use the 8375 in here, which is an adapter board. And yeah, so what's missing? I am still missing 3 resistor packs. That is RP800, which is behind this connector here, RP803, which is also there, RP802, which is here, and I am missing the crystal I have now, so I can scratch that off my list. These DRAMs are not populated. If they would be, it would be 414256, 256K by 4. I have the FPU, I have no Buster yet, and I have no DMAC, so from that part of my list, I will use these from my other Amiga 3000. I have Kickstart, I have Paula, I have Super Denise replacements. I then have the Fat Agnes replacement, which is a €200 chip right now if you buy it off of eBay, if there are any available. And that is the 8372B variant of the Agnes, which was only used in this machine here, and the T, if I'm not completely mistaken. I need an Amber, I need a Gary, a Fat Gary, and I need a RAM controller. So I will take these custom chips out of my A3000, or my Amiga 3000 or Re 3000, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so I will continue soldering on this CPU. I think I made a mistake because I first tried to hot air this. So with my hot air soldering station, I just went over this CPU. I had all the stuff kept on taped here, and I'm not sure if it survived because I gave it 400 degree and it could be trash already. Well, these are you can get these for as I said, 12 or 16 euros. I'm not sure what it was, something around that. So if this is actually broken, I can get a replacement, and I can then finally use my hot air soldering station to take it off again. But it's a pain to get it on there. It is really a pain. And I didn't expect that. I thought it was just some drag soldering and off you go, but nope. Because these legs are angled in two positions, it is very easy to get solder in these angles, and then you are fucked. Then you really have a desoldering job that is not fun. I think I will leave it here for that first part of the video. I also talked to some of those electronic microscope manufacturers, and it seems like one of these is willing to send me one of these microscopes, and I will take a look at these then. And yeah, until then I will, as I said, try to bring that on, and then we will have a video where I desolder all the other sockets like this and components here, and try to bring this back somehow. So that's it for part 1. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in part 2.
Thank you for watching Retro is the New Black. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. If you like the video, please share. Every like, share, and comment helps a lot. Until next time, bye-bye.